All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, here at basically what is the midpoint of this NFL season, you got to wonder if quarterback Kyler Murray has played his last down for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Murray is currently out with a foot injury, and he's eligible to return in week number 14. But the question is going to be, will we ever see him take the field again this season? Now, on the fifth day of the new league year in March, 19.5 million of Murray's salary for next season is due. And it appears that the Cardinals are at the crossroads with him. Now, in 7 seasons with the Birds after he was made the first overall pick, Murray's record as a starting quarterback is 38, 48, and 1, which included helping the Cardinals make the postseason back in 2021. Now, Murray has been injury prone throughout his NFL career. He's only made every start in a season 3 times. Okay, you look at this thing, and current Cardinals general manager Monty Ossenfort, as well as head coach Jonathan Gannon, were not running things in Arizona when Murray received his 5-year extension for $230.5 million. It's one of those that, as of right now, Gannon might not be around to be the head coach of this team to begin with for next season. And if that is the case, this really could be an opportunity for Monty Ossenfort, who more than likely I expect to be retained, to start fresh with a new head coach and, of course, possibly a new quarterback. Now, the chances, to me at least, of trading Murray are slim to none, as I simply don't see a lot of teams around the NFL, even though that there are some teams that need quarterbacks, okay? I don't see a lot of teams around the NFL lining up to take the Pro Bowl quarterback via a trade due to his contract. And nobody is going to want to have to pay Kyler Murray, okay, as well as give Arizona draft picks in return. So with all that I said, you ask yourself, what are the chances that Kyler Murray agrees to restructure his deal? I'm not holding out hope because it's one of those where unless a player really wants to be someplace, or he feels like he's not going to get any better value on the open market, very rarely do you see a player in the NFL that's willing to restructure his deal, especially at the quarterback position. So I think this is possibly shaping up to be another Russell Wilson type situation with Denver, a David Carr type situation with the Raiders. It's going to be one of those things where, you know what, the leverage is on the quarterback right now. And I think if you're Kyler Murray, you're probably going to sit back and make Arizona release you so you can go out there on the open market and find yourself another team for next year. So the question with that, will they have to suck it up and release Murray? I think so, because you're looking at it. If they do it before June 1st, they're on the hook for a $57 million cap hit. And if they do it after June 1st, that cap hit is still going to be around 50 million for 2026, with the remaining 7 million of that being on the books for 2027. Now, of course, the question is going to be, if the Cardinals do end up parting with Kyler Murray, would he be able to salvage his NFL career with another team? I think it could possibly happen. I think it's going to come down to fit. It's going to come down to scheme. And I also think it's going to come down to Kyler Murray himself. When you think about Kyler Murray, he comes across at times as being a guy who's too cool for school. Okay. And we've heard the reports of football from former general manager of the Cardinals, Steve Keim, being reluctant initially to go out there and give Kyler Murray a contract extension. Rumors of him not always being in his playbook. And if those are true, those are definitely things that you do not want from your starting quarterback in the National Football League. Also, Kyler Murray's leadership over the years has been in question. And again, your quarterbacks have to be your leaders, okay, on your team. You think about it, Kyler Murray, like I said, he's 38, 48, and 1 as a starter. He's gotten the Cardinals to the postseason once. They were one and done that year by the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams. And another question for me is, does Kyler Murray elevate the play of the people around him, and does he make them better? And I'm here to say no. Um, it's one of those, you look at the current Cardinals team. Yes, they're only 1-3 with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, but the offense does look better. The team has been playing better, albeit that the Cardinals did get blown out on Sunday in Seattle, courtesy of the Seahawks. But nonetheless, this team does look better. I still don't think that Jacoby Brissett is the long-term answer for the Cardinals at quarterback, and it's one of those where, for me, Kyler Murray is the better player, okay, but he's not the better quarterback between him and Brissett for this Arizona Cardinals team. It's one of those where I think Kyler Murray definitely bounces to another team for next season. Who that's going to be right now, I'm not sure. And like I said, there are some teams around the NFL that are probably going to need a starting quarterback next season. It's one of those where I don't think it's going to be like a Russell Wilson type scenario after he left Denver when he basically signed for the league minimum with a Pittsburgh. No, you're still going to have to pay Kyler Murray. You might not have to go overboard completely to pay him. Maybe it's something comparable to what we saw um, Sam Darnold get from the Seahawks or Geno Smith from the Raiders. And I'm not here to compare Kyler Murray to those quarterbacks. I'm just saying from the standpoint of the years on the deal. Okay, I could see him getting something in those lines, but nonetheless, he's going to get some looks, and he's going to get some hard looks. If the Cardinals do release him, and if you're Kyler Murray and his camp, you'll have the opportunity probably to pick where you want to go after this, and where you want to try to, you know, switch the narrative, if you will, around his NFL career. But nonetheless, I think his time is winding down with the Arizona Cardinals. To me, I look at it like this: the Cardinals have not gotten better as a team since Kyler Murray is there or has been there. And it's one of those where maybe they go in a different direction. And again, especially if they're talking about possibly bringing in a new head coach for next season, typically more often than not, that head coach wants to bring in his guy at quarterback, whether that be via the draft, trade, free agency, whatever. So at the end of the day, I truly do think that Kyler Murray's time in the desert is winding down. Where he lands after this, I'm not sure. It's one of those where you look at Kyler Murray, he brings a ton of athleticism to the quarterback position. But again, it's one of those where wherever he goes, and if he is going to take that next step in his career, he's got to be more of a pocket passer. He's got to be more of a leader. Those are two big things that I think have not been consistent with him up until this point of his career. But nonetheless, I think the time is winding down for him with the Birds. Let's see what's next for him, and let's see what's next for Arizona going forward. And hey, regardless of who's going to be in charge for Arizona next year, more than likely they're going to have to deal with that dead money situation. But a dead money situation doesn't mean that you can't compete and win some games in the NFL. Just look at the Denver Broncos when Sean Payton took over, and he had all of that dead money to deal with after he moved on from Russell Wilson. But if the Cardinals are smart and judicious about this, they could come out of this smelling like a rose. And the same thing goes for Kyler Murray, as he'll have the opportunity to pick his next landing spot in the league. But nonetheless, it looks like a divorce is imminent between Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. And let's see what's next for all parties involved. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you're liking what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button, as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it is greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, I will do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 pounds of sports knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, definitely check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going around social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.